Hi, Phyllis here from southernfrugal.com. This morning we are going to make a sweet potato pie, and it's a little bit different probably than what you're familiar with. But I kind of made this recipe up based on the Libby's pumpkin pie recipe, which I think is delicious. But I really like sweet potato best of all. So I'm going to start out by just showing you the sweet potato. That's one of those jumbo sweet potatoes from North Carolina, which I got really last fall, I think. And I froze it. Now it's frozen solid as a rock right now. And I had to actually break the end of it off to get it in a little plastic bag. So I'm going to thaw this sweet potato out, and as soon as I get it thawed out and peeled, we're going to make a sweet potato pie. So we'll be back in just a little while. Okay, we are back, and we've gotten our sweet potato all thawed out. You'll need 2½ cups of the sweet potato. Now it's still a little bit frozen, I think, but I wanted to just mention about the sweet potatoes. You really want to bake your sweet potatoes rather than boil them, because they're going to retain most of their potassium if you cook them in the oven. They won't look quite as pretty as they do when you boil them, but you want to retain all the potassium and all the other vitamins. And if you cook them in water, it kind of cooks out. All right, so we're ready to make the sweet potato pie now. We need a 12-ounce can of evaporated milk, and you want to make sure that it's not the fat-free, just the regular evaporated milk. Now I'm pouring that in first so the mixture doesn't get all clogged up around the edge of my food processor. Now you can also certainly do this with a mixer. 3 whole large eggs, 3/4 cup of just regular white sugar. And I always hold my finger on that because there's a little hole right there in my food processor. This is a very old food processor. And now I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And also 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And I use a heaping 1/4 teaspoon. See? And a 1/2 teaspoon of just regular table salt. Okay, now we're ready to put our sweet potatoes in. And again, you can certainly make this with a mixer, just a mixer in a bowl, but I find it's a lot easier doing it in the food processor. And again, some of these potatoes pieces are still a little frozen. Now, I make this a lot of times at Thanksgiving and Christmas instead of a pumpkin pie. And of course it looks just like a pumpkin pie, so people always think it's going to be pumpkin, so they always get a piece and then they say, "Oh, what is this?" Now I'll have to tell you, I'll pull the camera up a little bit. My daughter used to call this eggnog pie because she said it tastes like eggnog, but hey, she was a young kid and she ate it, okay? So if I'd said this is sweet potato pie, she probably wouldn't have eaten it. But if it's eggnog pie, she ate it, okay? All right, here we go. I'm just going to stir down the sides just a little bit. And remember, because we put in the liquid first, it helps it to mix up a lot better, I think. So let's mix it up a little more. Alright, that's all you need to do. And it really is that quick as long as you already have your sweet potato ready. Now what I'm going to do is put a link to how to freeze sweet potatoes on the description on the bottom of this video. Alright, so now we just pour it into our unbaked pie crust. And I'm going to see if I can't get every bit of that out. and this is a very old food processor. And you will need, the largest pie crust. Now, I've done the video on the pie crust and should be sort of in close proximity to this recipe for this sweet potato pie. Hopefully it is. But anyway, this is an extra large pie pan here that I got from Walmart. Extra deep is what it is. But anyway, it'll rise up a little bit. So now we're going to bake this in the oven, starting it out in a preheated oven, 425 degrees for 15 minutes. And then without opening the oven door, just cut your temperature down to 350 degrees and cook it for another 40 to 50 minutes. You'll want to let it cool for a good 2 hours before you cut it. And then anything you have left over, you need to put it in the refrigerator. All right, when this is done, we'll be back. Okay, here is the sweet potato recipe. I wanted to go ahead and show you that while the sweet potato pie is cooking. And there's how you bake it, 425 degrees for 15 minutes. And then reduce the heat to 350 for 40 to 50 more minutes. And just insert a toothpick sort of in the center of it, and pull it out, and if it's clean, it's ready. And you want to let it cool for about 2 hours before you cut it so it can be good and set. Again, there's the recipe. And I might just add that this recipe just works with the baked sweet potatoes. If you try to use the canned ones, drained and packed in the cup, it really, they're too watery. It doesn't do well, so you'll definitely need to use baked sweet potatoes. Okay, there it is. All right, when this pie gets done, we'll be back. Okay, the sweet potato pie is done. Now, I have not put a toothpick down in there because I've really been making this for quite a number of years. And one of the ways you can tell that it's done is if, the puff up in the middle is all, puffed up. Like just before it gets done, you'll see it kind of sunk down a little bit in the middle. But let's just do the toothpick test anyway. It's a deep pie. See? Toothpick comes out clean. Okay, I'm gonna wait a couple hours before we cut this and let it get cool, and I'll do the thumbnail of a piece that's cut so you can see what that looks like. All right, I hope you'll try this. A sweet potato pie. See you next time.